Here last year, a number of senators asked you, including me, a series of questions about articles you'd written, public statements you had made on social media that were, I have to say, pretty grossly partisan, and I thought offensive, and you and I went back and forth about it. After that, a number of us asked you questions for the record relating to these statements. I want to follow up on one of them. I, in particular, asked you to give us a full accounting of the public posts that you had made on Twitter. You had locked your Twitter account before you came before this committee. It had previously been public. I asked you to provide the public posts that had previously been available on Twitter because the ones that we have were pretty disturbing. You responded as follows, and I quote, "My personal Twitter account is comprised of posts about my mystery novels, events at the White House Historical Association, Pittsburgh sports teams, travels, and my dog," end quote. Is this an accurate statement?
Yes, Senator.
I just remind you, you're under oath. Is this an accurate statement?
Yes, Senator.
Well, let's talk a little
bit
about your Twitter posts then that I was asking you about. On February 18th, 2022, you posted on Twitter bemoaning the dropping of mask requirements for children, including those under the age of 5. Do you remember that post?
No, Senator. Those tweets were in my personal capacity.
No. I asked you, would you give all public posts that you had made on Twitter? You said no, effectively, and you said that your Twitter posts consisted of mystery novels, events at the White House Historical Association, Pittsburgh sports teams, travels, and my dog. And you just told me now under oath that you stood by that. So now let's talk about your Twitter posts. On February 18th, 2022, you posted bemoaning the fact that mask requirements for children under the age of 5, one of whom I happen to have, by the way, had been dropped. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams?
My social media is in my personal capacity,
Answer
Senator.
my question.
This, folks, this is the smug face of an elitist POS. Okay, I very, very rarely use that acronym POS. You know what it stands for. But these people here are the epitome of white, liberal, wokeism, social justice warrior, virtue signaling POSs. And she has the temerity and the nerve. Basically, she's taken the Fifth Amendment. I mean, what teeth does the Senate nomination committee have if you bring in a witness and they perjure themselves right in front of Congress, right in front of the Senate, by blatantly lying, saying that first, no, I only have, nothing is, I just talk about my dog, I talk about Pittsburgh sports, I talk about my walks, I talk about my food, I talk about this, I don't talk about anything else. And what the hell does a librarian know about mask mandates? This lady right now, she already is starting to piss me off. Immediately, within 2 seconds of hearing her voice and seeing her face, I was already upset. She's already getting on my nerves.
Please, because you've testified under oath that you only posted about your dog and sports teams and novels, and you also said you wouldn't give this committee any of your public posts. So, is your post on February 18th, 2022, bemoaning the lifting of mask requirements for children under the age of 5, who I might just ask, all of the data has said is extremely harmful to children, these mask requirements? We'll leave that aside for now. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams? Yes or no?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
Yes or no, Ms. Shogan? You are under oath before this committee, and I have to say, you have placed this issue squarely in record by repeatedly refusing to answer. Yes or no?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
So you're not answering my question. Let's talk about another post. 26th of May, 2022, you talk about an assault weapons ban. Retweet a post, ban assault weapons now. Say you agree with this idea that you have to be a certain age to buy so-called assault weapons in America. Is that a post about sports teams or your dog or mystery novels?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
What about the post on January 5th of 2021 in which you say that Ted Cruz ought to stay in his own lane and not worry about what's going on in Pittsburgh? This is a reference, I think, to questions he had about the certification of the last election. Is that a post about your dog or sports teams or mystery novels?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
What about the post, you remember December 10th, 2020, where you said that you were hoping that President Trump would have his vetoes overridden, and you agreed with the post that he was a weak policy president? Is that a post about your dog or sports teams or mystery novels?
My social media is in my personal capacity.
What about your post on January 5th, 2021, in which you speculated that President Trump would pardon himself next, participating in a conversation about the certification of the Electoral College? Is that a post about sports teams or mystery novels or your work as at the White House Historical Association?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
She is getting absolutely lambasted. She is getting skewered. Right now, she is probably, peeing her dress, peeing her pants right now. Even though she's answering this, she knows that these comments are part of the record, that people are going to watch this thing, and they're going to know what a POS she actually is. At least those of us that are on the right. The people on the left, the Democrats that nominated her, they don't give a crap. They think that she's probably the next best thing, since sliced freaking white bread. Okay? But he is absolutely destroying her credibility in terms of her trying to say that she's neutral in all this. She wants to be in charge of the National Archives, folks. That is a very, very important position. And this is the lady that the Brandon administration, that they want activists that go in there and basically do everything except the job that it calls for. Let's hear some more from Miss Colleen Shogun.
What about the post? Do you remember this one? I said, we seem to be having an incredible case of amnesia, but maybe you remember this one. This is from December 3rd of 2021, in which you advise an individual who goes by Meg on social media that the Library of Congress, you advise this person to complain about religious flags that have been planted on the grounds of the Library of Congress, and you say that they ought to be removed. And you go on to give this person advice about how to complain and have them removed. Do you remember that post?
My social media is in my personal
Do you remember the
capacity.
post?
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
I have to say, I have been here for 4 years in the Senate. I have never seen a witness stonewall like this before. Never. I've seen a lot. This is extraordinary. Do you remember this post? December 3rd, 2021.
My social media is in my personal capacity, Senator.
This is unbelievable. And you want to be the archivist of the United States. You lied to us under oath. You lied to us in your QFRs. You just lied to me a second ago under oath, and now you're sitting here stonewalling, not answering questions about public posts that you've made. Are you a lawyer, Ms. Shogun?
Ooh. No, Senator.
Are you familiar with the Shirtliff case at the United States Supreme Court?
No, Senator, I'm not.
Well, in that case, the Supreme Court held that, in fact, it constitutes viewpoint discrimination for a government entity to remove religious flags from its property when it's opened up the property to allow other people to put flags on it. Exactly the question that you were addressing in your public posts on Twitter. You're giving legal advice, which you're not qualified to give, directly contrary to the United States Supreme Court. I just wonder, does this have to do with your view that you wrote about that the religious right is connected to the rise of anti-intellectualism in American politics? Is that?
Just to let everybody know, she wrote a paper basically saying that people, Republicans, conservatives, are stupid, idiotic, moronic, retarded, because the presidents that represented them in terms of being Republican, like Ronald Reagan and George Bush and others, basically talked down to them. That's what she thinks of Republicans, of people that are Trump voters, people that live in the South, flyover country, those people that are part of country class, not country club class. So as an elitist, she basically wrote a position paper, several of them, basically saying that the Republican presidents basically played to the stupidity of the American electorate that elected them into office. That's what he's talking about right now.
Is that why you said what you said about religious flags, that the religious right is a force for anti-intellectualism? Explain that to me.
No, Senator.
Idiot.
Do you stand by your comment that the religious right? part of the rise of anti-intellectualism in American politics?
Senator, that article was written. It was about how Republican presidents use common sense terminology to effectively communicate with Americans.
Yeah, in which you said that the religious right, the rise of the religious right is part of the rise of anti-intellectualism in American politics. I just point out that's the article in which you say anti-intellectual, the title is Anti-Intellectualism in the Modern Presidency, Republican Populism. Very nonpartisan. Dr. Shogun, I'm going to ask you again, will you give to this committee your public posts on Twitter? Will you make them available to this
My
committee?
social media is in my personal capacity.
Mr. Chairman, I have to tell you, this is the most extraordinary thing I have seen in my brief time in the Senate. I have never seen a witness blatantly lie under oath like Dr. Shogun has just done to this committee, stonewalled this committee, and just repeatedly refused to answer my questions about her own posts that are in public. For these reasons, I will oppose your nomination, and I strongly, strongly urge this committee to take action on this and force this witness to own up to the fact that she is.
This is absolutely extraordinary. What is the use of having the ability in Congress or in these Senate hearings to call in a witness who basically is, takes the oath and says that they swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? They're sworn in. Perjury is a crime. It is a criminal offense. And this lady, why can't the thing that I don't understand is, I would have basically said that, you are perjured yourself under oath. You are going to be under arrest. We're putting you in jail. Call the officers, haul her ass out of court, put her in jail, make a spectacle of it, make a spectacle of her. Let these people know that you're not going to take this crap as you question these freaking witnesses. They are making a mockery of the system. They know they go in, they're going to squirm a little bit. They're going to be a little hot under the collar. They're going to take some questions for the 5, 10, 15 minutes that they're over there. They know it's going to be out there for everyone to see, but they don't give a damn because they know there's no freaking teeth. You can lie your freaking derriere off, I guess. It doesn't mean a damn thing. People get subpoenaed. They don't show up. Nothing happens. Life goes on as usual. If you or I were before this or in a court of law and we perjured ourselves, we'd be put in freaking jail. We'd be walked out of there with their hands behind our back. That's the truth. How do these elite POSs, these social justice warrior POSs, these virtue signaling POSs, how in the world did they get away with it? Amazes me. Amazes me. Unbelievable. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. I expect to see a lot of comments on what you think of Colleen Shogun and what do you think of Senator Hawley. Was he right in the way he asked the questions, or is Colleen Shogun, she's perfectly within her rights to do that, but she, in terms of, I think it would be better if she said, I'd take the fifth instead. But she is blatantly, she was lying in these things here with her answers and other questions, that were submitted to her. Anyways, my final point is when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. Like this moronic idiot here, Colleen Shogun. Folks, take care and stay safe.